we'll lead with this first story because this is the craziest thing to me. Check this out. From the Daily Mail, they say, Debate Commission promises rule change to make next showdown orderly after dumpster fire clash, which Biden admits was a national embarrassment. But unrepentant Trump says it was fun. I think that's all you need to know right there. But there's a few more bullet points. They say the Commission on Presidential Debates has vowed to change the format of the next candidate clash. Last night's debate made clear that additional structure should be added to ensure a more orderly discussion on the issues, the commission said. The verdict came down after changes called for in wake of chaotic night. Joe Biden called it a national embarrassment. The morning after the debate, Trump called the event fun, claiming he actually was debating Biden and Fox News moderator Chris Wallace. 2-on-1 was not surprising, but fun, Trump tweeted. Radical left is dumping Sleepy Joe, zero Democrat enthusiasm, weak leadership. A general consensus was reached. The debate was a dumpster fire. Most claim neither candidate came out on the other side looking good. I'll tell you this. The point I was making, like when we opened the show, for those that may have missed the context there, Donald Trump's having a good time just talking over everyone and dominating everything. He's loving it. That's his environment. Joe Biden needs help. Like, how is he going to negotiate anything for us? Or, I don't know. What?
He's a terrible negotiator. He's got a low diplomacy skill.
Where's that come from?
Biden?
Yeah.
And just listening to him, he's old. He's dry. He's tired.
Yeah, and he's just, a lot of people were saying, I don't know if you guys saw that point where Biden said, "Would you shut up, man?" Yeah. You know that point?
Yeah.
A lot of people like cheering for that, but I'm like, that wasn't Donald Trump when he's doing the WWE style thing and he's like, hooting at the crowd and flexing. He's high energy when he's shutting people down. Excuse me. No. Joe Biden goes, would you shut up, man? That was defeated.
Yeah, one thing was for sure that Trump energy, he overwhelmed the stage, the television, the broadcast, America. His energy was 10x everybody last night. And that's been something that he's been pushing all along, right? High energy, aggressive, in your face, creating drama, making things interesting. That's why it's Sleepy Joe, and Trump is the man at this point.
Yeah, Trump, he's spry.
Dude, has he not? Okay, so you remember when Obama came into office? No grays, looking young. 8 years later, he looks like an old man.
He looks like some energy vampire latched onto him and drained him. He's like, ah!
Right, but has Trump degraded in any way physically over 4 years? In fact, it seems to me like his energy is picking up.
Yeah. He's gotten bigger and and his hair is growing larger.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I think Trump's calmed down in a certain respect, but he's actually, like, last night was probably the most riled up I've seen him. Like, he was just going off. Yeah, he was debating Chris Wallace and Joe Biden at the same time.
Yeah, and it was clearly a strategy, right? Like, he didn't ease into that. Like, Trump didn't ease into his aggression. Did you notice he didn't open with the typical opening? Usually they ask you a question, and then you say, thank you, everybody, for having me here. Thanks to everybody at the university. Thanks to the ushers and my wife and blah, blah, blah. And then they take like 90 seconds saying thank you to everybody, and then they get into the question. Trump just started off attacking, just came out swinging. Didn't even say thank you.
Joe Biden tried.
He did.
He was like, I just want to thank you. It was funny when he walked down, he looks at Trump and he's like, whatever. Like, I'm Joe Biden, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, Joe Biden, it seems like he didn't know if he was going to play it WWE style. Like smack talking in the ring, or if he was going to try and have a traditional establishment debate. But then Joe Biden just jumped into the muck with Trump. And the main issue I see is you can't win that fight.
Definitely not.
And
what's the phrase? Like, don't fight with the pigs; they'll drag you into the mud. And,
you lie with dogs, you get fleas.
Yeah.
So Donald Trump, that's like, man, they don't know how to deal with this guy. Donald Trump comes out. He's in the WWE Hall of Fame, isn't he? I'm pretty sure.
He's been a big part of it. He's made guest appearances. They love him. And they love him in the MMA world, too. So he knows about this showmanship.
Yep.
Yeah.
For wrestling entertainment, it really is about putting on that big spectacle and catching the attention of the crowd. I think we have all the polls saying that Joe Biden won. Like 9 out of 10 or whatever polls, some ridiculous number. There's that one Telemundo poll saying Spanish speakers think Trump won 66 to 33. That's crazy. And there were a few other polls, like C-SPAN did a non-scientific Twitter poll, and people are like propping that up. I think Trump won. And I know it's probably, I'll tell you this, it's probably, I don't know if cliche is the right word. Oh, of course, Tim's going to say Trump won because, they're going to be like, the maggots will just say Trump won no matter what. It's like, dude, I got a lot to say about how Trump screwed up in a lot of ways. But that's why I opened with, imagine Joe Biden trying to have a conversation with Vladimir Putin. No one's going to be there to hold him up. So we can complain that we didn't get any substance. I think that's partially true. I think Donald Trump did have a bunch of really important issues he talked about. When he went into mail-in voting, Joe Biden just sat there for like 2 minutes, just not saying a word. And then he goes, there's no evidence for that. It's like, that's not a response, Joe. That's not, you can't just be like, that's not true. You're dumb,
I felt like Trump had a command of the facts like he had in the past. Before he was just coming out like 4 years ago, he wasn't president. He didn't have programs. He didn't have the experience. But now it's like he knows everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And compared to Joe Biden, who even my son pointed out that Joe Biden would say, well, it was 20 million. 20,000. 20. Every statistic that he tried to cite. So if Biden wanted to do a clinical debate about policy issues, it seemed to me that Biden did not have the facts, the knowledge, or even maybe the preparation or the temperament or the energy or something. But when he tried to do that, it wasn't working for him at all.
All right, so let me ask you something. So Jack's been on the show before. I'm sure you guys may have seen. I think now it's like your third
time.
And you literally wrote the book on it, Democrat to Deplorable.
Yes,
has anyone else done what you've done, like traveling around asking people about all this stuff?
There was a woman that was doing some stuff like that back a few years ago, and her book came out, and it just came and went. And my book continues to sell more and more every month as people are waking up. The Democrats are waking up to what's going on, and they're embracing Donald Trump. And they've had 4 years to figure out all those things that drove people away in 2016. 10 times worse today.
I had a conversation today that I think I'm surprised some of the people I know may be finally breaking off of the Biden train. But I bring this up because I want to ask you, on a scale of 1 to 10, in 2016, what level was your enthusiasm for Donald Trump, like just before election?
Enthusiasm, like did I want him to win? Was I supporting him?
Yeah.
That was a 10.
A 10?
Yeah, I was all in. I was all in Trump. Did I think he was going to win? No. And even in my book, I reflected about election night, sitting down with my girlfriend, Red Hen, on Twitter, and just being like, it's been a fun ride, babe, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
We're going back to Hillary.
Yep. And then when Wisconsin came in, and then then we just went bonkers.
Man, that was such a fun night.
Yeah.
It was like Christmas and New Year's at the same time, and all the holidays rolled into one.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that as someone who voted for Trump. I'm saying it as somebody who was watching just like all these establishment elitist pricks who are so smug and sure of themselves. It's like, dude, I didn't vote for Trump, man. I didn't vote for Hillary. I'm just sitting back, minding my own business, trying to have a slice of pizza and a beer. And you guys wouldn't stop gloating and snooting about, sniffing your own farts. To watch them fall down from the ivory tower was just hilarious.
Yeah,
comeuppance, right?
Indeed.
So now we'll see what happens. And I got to say, I'm not convinced at this point, with the amount of smears and the chaos that's been dropping about Trump, that he's on track for a victory. But the reason I ask this question is, if you were at a 10 out of 10 in 2016, as of right now, with everything that's happened, where are you at for Trump?
Well, I'm a 10 out of 10 times 10 at this point in terms of support.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I see him as the only way out of this existential crisis that we're in. Critical race theory, the woke walkers, the whole thing.
Woke walkers.
I love it. That's awesome.
The woke
That's
walkers.
great.
Yeah, that's a good one. That usually gets a good reaction.
That's awesome.
The woke walkers. And so, my support for him is as high as it could be at this point. Now, I go back and forth on whether or not I think he's actually going to win. I feel like it's been building momentum. I really do. I don't think the debate helped sort of grow more enthusiasm, or optimism on my part, but I have been feeling really good. And I look at the polls, I disregard them, and it's just sort of a vibe. But, who knows at this point?
I would say that I probably went down a little bit in terms of...
After the debate.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, even though he won.
It's not to a point where I'm like, oh, geez, I better not vote or I better vote for Biden. Oh, I'm definitely going to vote. I'm definitely going to vote for Trump. But I was just like, you would think that when he was asked again about disavowing white supremacy, and I understand he's done it a billion times, but that was his moment to calmly and rationally just be like, yes, next question. And then he could have pointed to Joe Biden and said, now will you disavow Antifa and the far left? and Joe wouldn't have done it. And that would have been a grand slam for Trump. And he missed the cue.
Yeah, the question he was given, though, like I think tripped him up.
Right.
Do you disavow white supremacy and militias?
Exactly.
Right? So, like, there's a lot of people in militias. There's a lot of people who aren't white supremacists who are in militias. And there's a lot of people like that support Trump. I can see in his brain, maybe, where he didn't want to just come out and say yes to that question. But he should have, like he does all the time.
Well, no,
answer whatever question he wants. And
Right.
he had a moment there, and he did miss it.
So so the way I phrased it earlier was like, I was probably at a 6 out of 10, and I'm like a 5.7. Like it went down a little bit because I'm just like, but Biden can't win.
When he said the Proud Boys should stand back and stand by, I think that was his ego. That he didn't want to capitulate to the moderator and just say stand down, because they're like, say stand down, and he just wouldn't do it because his ego.
I think he misspoke.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, I really do. I think like this. Listen, this is not a defense of Trump. If Trump just stopped for 2 seconds, and so Chris Wallace is like, will you disavow white supremacists and the right wing militias? Sure. It's like he jumped in before Chris Wallace. If Trump just stopped for a second, let Chris Wallace say the question, then Trump could have calmly replied. Instead, it was just people were yelling and it was chaos, and it's partly because. No, actually, I want to stop and preface this because you pointed out Biden's the one who broke the decorum first.
2 minutes, 3 minutes in,
Biden's the one
violated the rules,
and so then it just goes
and
off the
Chris
rails.
Wallace should have said, "Stop! You do not interrupt. You do that again, you're losing your time." And he said nothing. Then Trump was like, "Oh, rules are off."
Yeah. Well, Trump was waiting for it too. So, but if Trump just slowed down and said, it's really, really simple. If you ask me, will you disavow white supremacy and right-wing militias? I would say I disavow all white supremacist organizations. In fact, Donald Trump announced that the Klan are going to be designated domestic terrorists.
Yeah.
So he's like, we just announced we're designating people domestic terrorists. Is that not good enough? I think we've done pretty well there. Now, as for any right-wing militia that is looking to start violence, don't do it. These people need to stop. By all means, you're free to speak your mind and you're free to be in your militia and you have all of your rights, but we need the violence to stop. Now, Trump did say, I want peace.
Yep.
I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm trying to say like Trump is a failure or anything like that. Like, oh, how dare he? I'm saying he missed a cue on that one. Mm-hmm. It was a great opportunity.
Yeah, and you pointed this out earlier when we were talking, where like Chris Wallace asked that question of him 4 years ago.
Yeah,
Mike
when you
Wallace.
pointed that, I think.
Yeah, and you were like, he had the same chance then. He disavowed 100% right then. He disavowed, the KKK, disavowed, Duke, disavowed everybody. Maybe he's just getting tired of it. I'm tired of it. We're all tired of it.
Absolutely.
It's a stupid question.
And his first response was sure. And they're acting like he didn't say that. He gave an affirmative but weak response. Yeah. And the media, all of a sudden, every story, like, oh, no, Trump won't disavow. And then this morning, they asked him again. He's like, oh, yeah. They should stand down, let law enforcement get in there.
Well, let's think about this. The media is going to say whatever they're going to say no matter what Trump says, right?
Yep.
So does it make sense for him to just sort of answer the question however he wants rather than, sort of give in to the demand of the moderator in that sense?
That's a good point. And you know what? A lot of people have been saying, like, Chris Wallace couldn't handle it. We need Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan said no. And he was like, get the MMA broadcaster guy. And then he was like, no way. Nobody wants to touch it because it was just like a hot pile of, trash. But I'd love to moderate. You know why? Because I just wouldn't do it.
Right.
I'd be like, 15 minutes on the clock. The subject is COVID. Ding. Have at it, boys. I'll be in the other room. 15 minutes, I'll come back in and I'll hit the buzzer again and we'll switch topics.
You know what's going to be funny is if they do try doing the mic cutting.
Yeah, they're going to cut his mic.
So they're going to cut the mic, but Trump's going to be so loud that like you're going to hear him come through on the other mic.
Yeah, you are.
Mic.
Yeah. Yep. It's going to be
then
amazing.
They're going to want to put him in glass cages.
Well, what they're going to need to do is put him in separate locations with somebody on a video mixer and just be able to cut the feed entirely, right?
I think this is insane that anyone would accept Joe Biden requiring a handicap to have a debate on issues. Listen, it's sales 101, man. If people don't know about your product, they can't buy it. If Donald Trump is the one who's saying words, we can look at all the debate polls where they're like, well, actually, Joe Biden was the one who really came out with substance. Yeah, no, that's not how it works. I used to work for nonprofits. I used to do fundraising. And I'll tell you this. You know what got people to give me their money? It wasn't me saying, let me cite this statistic. Now, in 2017, we actually cut down 4.3 tons of carbon. No, it was me triggering their emotions.
Ah, yes.
That's it. And one of the most important things in sales is always having a response to soothe their worries. So when someone says to me, I'm scared. This is one of the things they teach you when you're doing street canvassing for these nonprofits. You know, those people who are like, howdy, would you like to talk about the environment?
No.
But man, me and my buddies were like nation's best. We
Yeah, I
could
bet.
snap our fingers and have somebody in front of us signing up, handing over their credit card.
Nice.
Here's like big mistakes people make. If someone asks you a question, say like, I'm nervous about voting for Donald Trump. Do not give them 800 reasons. You give them one simple one. This. Then when they say, yeah, but this, then this. And you whenever they give you a response showing you they're scared, you give them an answer. If you can answer every question, they'll eventually cave and say, I'm not worried. I have nothing else to ask you. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.